Books here. I thought I would fill you in on what I've been reading. If you caught my mid-February reading vlog, then you'll know that I was reading kind of too many things. I had too many things on my list and I just felt so distracted, like I couldn't settle down to one book. So I gave myself a goal. I said I wanted to finish the biography of Paul the Apostle and I wanted to finish Demian, and I'm happy to report that I did finish both of them this month. My mom asked me if I had combed my hair this morning, and I actually had. My hair just hates combs. What is this? The biography of Paul took me a while to get through. I started that at the end of December or just early January. My mom recommended it to me and it was absolutely amazing. I would highly recommend it if it sounds like something you're interested in. I'm Roman Catholic, so at Mass every weekend, the second reading is always an epistle from St. Paul. And I would have said that I knew like the basic facts of his life, his conversion on the road to Damascus, but reading this biography, there's just so much more that's covered. The author is obviously so passionate about it, so reading it, like, it really makes Paul come alive. Now that I've finished that, I feel like I can start new things, and it's definitely on my list to read the Acts of the Apostles and to read the letters, because at Mass you hear, like, you know, just a couple verses, but I don't usually sit down and read it all the way through. And of course we're in the season of Lent now, so I think this is the perfect season. It's amazing actually how much of the New Testament is written by Paul, and it's amazing how much energy he had and how he traveled around so much, and this was in an age when travel was not easy. I love how the author talked about how Paul would have passed the time during these long journeys from city to city, and he talked about how Paul would have been praying, and that would sustain him and also inspire him and kind of deepen his thinking and his faith. There were so many quotes that I highlighted. Here's one. Those who like their religion, or indeed their friendships, served at a medium temperature may find Paul's personality hard to take. At once eager and vulnerable, both bold and, in his own words, in your face, and then liable to serious self-doubt. Was it all for nothing? One might suppose that, as a friend, he was, as we say, high maintenance, though the reward would be high performance. When this author talks about Paul, he often talks about him as if he was a friend. So as I mentioned, I did finish Demian. This is by Hermann Hesse. This was the first book by Hermann Hesse that I had read. I was inspired by BTS because some of their older music references Demian, so I was very intrigued. There's a quote in here that I recognized from one of BTS's music videos, and I hadn't even realized it was RM reading a quote from Demian. The back says, "In Demian, one of the great writers of the 20th century tells the drama of young, docile Emil Sinclair's descent, led by precocious schoolmate Max Demian into a secret and dangerous world of petty crime and revolt against convention and eventual awakening to selfhood." Now that I think about it, I don't think that is a precisely accurate sort of summary of how it goes down. Although I can see how this would be a difficult plot to sum up, because in some ways there's not like a lot of action, it's a lot of sort of mental action maybe. You do have this sense from the beginning that there's like a light world and a dark world, and you know, Sinclair is very intrigued by the dark world, although he pretty quickly realizes some ways of life are just pretty empty. So he's trying to find like a sort of more meaningful way to live. I wanted only to live in accord with the promptings which came from my true self. There are some really insightful, interesting passages. I copied a whole bunch of them out. If you want something from someone and you look him firmly in both eyes and he doesn't become ill at ease, give up. You don't have a chance, ever. People with courage and character always seem sinister to the rest. The mark of Cain, so from the story of Cain and Abel, plays pretty prominently in this book. I wasn't quite sure what I thought of that interpretation. Some of the interpretations of things, I was just like, not so sure. At one point, they talk about the story of the good thief. So on the cross, when Christ was dying, there were two thieves who were being crucified with him. And one of them said, "If you're really the Son of God, why don't you save us?" And the other, good thief, rebuked him and said, "Look, we actually did do these crimes. Jesus is not guilty of anything." And then he said, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." And the interpretation here was just so odd, because he claims that the good thief was like whiny and begging Jesus. But like, when you read the story in the Bible, it's the other way around. It's the bad thief who is begging Jesus, "Save my life, like I don't want to die." And it's the good thief who is courageously facing death. It's kind of a surprising interpretation, especially based on especially based on some of the philosophy in this, because there is this idea of like courage in facing difficulties. This is very much inspired by the philosopher Jung, who also inspired BTS. So you can definitely see some of those same themes of like, you know, reliance on yourself and like kind of chasing down your destiny. There was a lot about dreams. Obviously, it is good to go kind of deep within yourself and know what's there and know who you are. But it's also important to go back out into the world and support the world around you. Like, I think the most fulfillment for the main character came towards the end when he found a community of like-minded individuals. There's also certainly an admission that other individuals can disappoint you, and that a lot of people just follow the herd instinct and don't want to face what's inside of them, don't want to think for themselves. But at the same time, it's in community that the Sinclair found a lot of meaning, and I feel like he just sort of skates over that. It kind of reminded me of the same problem I had with Ayn Rand. There was lots in Ayn Rand that I really enjoyed and thought was really insightful and powerful, but the thing that was missing was that sort of love of other people. In Atlas Shrugged in particular, the main character Dagny, I felt like there was this idea that was never fully expressed, but was like kind of an undercurrent that she wanted to sort of give of herself to like make the world a better place, or to like provide these services, like to make the trains run. Like that was an admirable thing about her. But Ayn Rand, and kind of in the same way Hermann Hesse, never looks into that more deeply. Like, why is it important to not just go inside, but also to give back? He talks about biblical stories and also about Christ sometimes, and that's what made Christ so powerful, is that he gave of himself selflessly. That's the reason the example he gave us is so important, because it was God come down to earth to give of himself selflessly and show us the way to go. Earlier this month, I read the first half of Little Women, and since I finished my other two books, I have let myself start the second half, which is Good Wives, and it's been really fun. I'm just up through Meg Just Got Married. The description at the start of that chapter was so cute. Hold on. It makes me so eager for springtime. Like, I'm so ready for there to be leaves on the trees and flowers back again. I just love Louise May Alcott's kind of conversational tone of voice, like the way the second part starts. In order that we may start afresh and go to Meg's wedding with free minds, it may be well to begin with a little gossip about the marches. But yeah, the beginning of that, the wedding chapter is so sweet. The June roses over the porch were awake bright and early on that morning, rejoicing with all their hearts in the cloudless sunshine, like friendly little neighbors as they were. Quite flushed with excitement were their ruddy faces as they swung in the wind, whispering to one another what they had seen, for some had peeped in at the dining room windows where the feast was spread, some climbed up to nod and smile at the sisters as they dressed the bride, others waved a welcome to those who came and went on various errands. Just so sweet. I have some new books here hiding behind Belle. They're actually used books. I went to an antique store with one of my friends recently, and there was this box and like area where there were a couple books. It wasn't a bookstore, but they had a pretty nice selection. And I don't know, something about the box just made me feel like wherever those books came from, they would have some books I would enjoy, that maybe they came from the library of a kindred spirit. Just look at how beautiful some of these covers are. I will be totally honest, for these three, it was totally the covers that drew me in. Although this one, how many times do you find a book about the Crusades? The Crusades and Crusaders by J.G. Edgar. Tales of wonder and adventure. I don't know, I just was super intrigued. And it was just so beautiful. I thought it would be fun. This one, oh my goodness. How pretty is that? By Myrtle Reed. I've never heard of this author, but look, it's got a great inscription in the front. 1908. How awesome is that? I need to start putting inscriptions in more of my books. So when one day I'm gone and these books move on to another owner, they'll know when they came from. But I did dip in and read a couple pages just to make sure that, you know, it wasn't totally a cover buy, that I would at least want to read it. And I already can't wait to dip in. It sounds so fun. The little house was waiting as it had waited for many years. Gray and weather-worn, it leaned toward the sheltering hillside as though to gather from the kindly earth some support and comfort for old age. Wow, aren't these names great? Miss Evelina. And, hold on, wait, I saw it just now. Miss Hitty, Hitty. Is that maybe a short name for Henrietta? There it is. Anyway, I'm looking forward to dipping into this one. Also, how beautiful is that? So this is called Abbe Constantin by Halavi. This is just as beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside. Again, the first paragraph pulls me in and makes me curious to read more. With a step still valiant and firm, an old priest walked along a dusty road in the full rays of a brilliant sun. For more than 30 years, the Abbé Constantin had been the curé of the little village which slept there in the plain, on the banks of a slender stream called La Lizotte. I wonder if this will be at all like, it probably won't be. It's called Don Camillo by Giovanni Gioreschi is a book I've mentioned here before, and that is about an Italian priest after World War II, which this I think is, oh yeah, look, there we go, 1881. This is set well before both World Wars, and looks like it is about a French priest. This, I will be honest, I've already finished. I love Grace Livingston Hill, so I was very excited to discover her at the bookshop. Look, this even has its dust jacket. Sometimes with covers and dust jackets, you can tell that the designer did not bother to read the book, which is always frustrating, but this designer obviously read the book because her whole ensemble matches the ensemble that is described in the book. And look at how even the spine there has like a cute setting. Grace Livingston Hill is a Christian author. She wrote probably the 1940s, 30s, 40s. They're just really charming romance stories. I've actually read, oh gosh, what was it called? It was on my top books of 2019. It was one of my favorite reads of the year, and it was another like flower title. I wonder if it's here on the back. Was it Roses? I think it was something Roses. I'll have to put a picture of it here on the screen. But anyway, it's fun that I really enjoyed that Roses book, and now here's White Orchids. I really enjoy Grace Livingston Hill's writings. I like that her characters take their faith so seriously and like are just such nice, sweet people, and it's fun to see the relationships they have and the people that come into their lives. It's definitely just a comforting read, but there's enough of a story to keep you interested, and there are some funny scenes, some beautiful reflections. I think she is a good writer. See, that other book I read as a ebook, but now I kind of want to see if I can find a used copy of that with a beautiful old cover. I feel like the cover art you see on books from the 30s and 40s is just, so good, so beautiful. Whenever I see books from that era on like Bookstagram, I'm like, I want to try to find a used copy of that. Anyway, there's a look at my recent editions. Since I have finished White Orchids, I will probably start, I don't know which one. Maybe I'll start with Abbé Constantin. One of these I will probably attack next. I've updated my bookshelf setup. I've moved my princess houses to the shelves, and on the top I've got my Bangtan Boys. This is the brand new album. It just came out February 21st. It was so exciting. I've been absolutely loving listening to it, thinking about seeing them perform these songs in concerts gets me so excited. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little BTS display. I got all of my photo cards out from the albums, put them up on the wall. I have the little member chibi characters and their BT21 friends. I remember when I first was getting to know BTS and I first heard about BT21, I was like, why do they need cartoon characters? Like, they're a music band. Do they really need cartoon characters? Imagine if the world didn't have RJ though. That would be tragic. Seriously though, when I watched the behind the scenes of like the members, making the little BT21 characters, and they've done Chimmy, but they've also done these adorable cartoons for each of the little tiny characters that are so quirky and cute. If you're looking for a distraction, you guys should go watch the little BT21 cartoons. I'll link them in the description because they're so funny. But anyway, so surprisingly, I've been won over to the cartoon characters, and I feel like they fit BTS perfectly somehow, surprisingly. BTS is so amazing in that they try so many different styles and genres, and yet it still kind of coheres into them. I think in a recent interview they said the genre is BTS, which I feel like that's accurate, One fun thing about becoming a BTS fan is that you feel more aware of being a sort of global citizen, if that makes any sense. Like, whenever BTS tweets something and you look at the replies, they're in every different language, every different script imaginable. When you're interacting with other fans online on Reddit and you're waiting for something new to release, it's so fun to hear what time it's releasing for everybody, because for some people it's yes, it's the middle of the day or the morning or the evening, and for other people it's I'm gonna have to get up early, I'm gonna have to stay up late. It just makes you feel part of this global community, which is so cool. Of course, South Korea has been in the news lately because they've had a lot of cases of the coronavirus there, which is obviously very worrying. I hope everyone is staying healthy and not worrying too much. It's always fun to catch up with you guys and let you know what I'm reading. Let me know what books you have been enjoying lately down in the comments. If you're not yet, make sure you're subscribed and you give this video a thumbs up. I hope you're having a magical day and a bookish day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye guys! So I had to show you guys this real quick because I've been meaning to get around to it for ages. You might have noticed this really cute window frame that has been hanging behind me in some of the videos. Before, it just had like the little, you know, floral drawings that came with it. But it's been on my list to print out my Bookish Princess paper dolls and put them in the windows. I think it came out so well. My lovely follower Trisha, who runs a Etsy shop called Shy Socialites, made these for me. She did some Halloween paper dolls as well as some just normal Bookish Princess paper dolls, and they're just so cute. I have already printed these out and like cut them out as actual paper dolls, but someone in the comments mentioned they'd be cute just to frame, and I thought that's such a good idea. And then when I saw this frame at Home Goods, I thought, oh my goodness, that's gonna be the Bookish Princess paper doll frame. It's just so cute.